Hello everybody, long time no see, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to do the very awaited, very requested, long wanting video of my thriller recommendations. Do I even know how to YouTube anymore? Oh, it's falling, everything is falling. Today I'm going to talk to you about 13 books, thriller, scary, mysterious. Guys, it's been a while since I recorded last time. It's been like, I don't know, 2 weeks or something. So I clearly forgot how to YouTube. Bear with me. Like I was saying, I'm gonna tell you about 13 books, thrillers that I've read and I loved. They are all between 4 and 5 stars for me. And some of them you've heard me talk a bunch of times and you can probably guess which ones I'm gonna mention. And some others you probably don't hear me talking about them that much because I don't really think about them, but then when I was looking at the books that I've read, I was like, yes, this was a really good book and I still want to recommend. Some of them are going to be very easy to predict that I'm going to recommend, and some others are going to be, voila, plot twist. I also want to mention that during the month of September, it's happening in the Portuguese booktube, or I mean in any booktube, but it's a Portuguese booktube project organized by Dora and Cristina. It's called September Thrills and it just consists in reading thrillers during the month of September, and I did wanted to publish this video before September so you could all go into the project with a bunch of nice recommendations from moi. But I'm late for the party, as always. Let's move on. We're still at the beginning of the month, so maybe you can still grab some of these for the project if you are interested. If not, you know, October is around the corner, and October, Halloween, scary things, mysterious things, plot twists. Yeah, read thrillers are good and they expand your brain. Let's dig in. There's no specific order in this. This was the order where I got the books out of the bookshelf and my bookshelf is not organized. So there's literally no specific order. But I'm gonna start by the one book that I don't have a copy of, and it's one of my favorite thrillers and I really do need to get a copy of this book because it's inadmissible that one of my favorite books, I don't own it. And it's Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. How many times have you heard me speak about this book? Probably thousands. Thousands. This book is set in New York in a fictional building that unfortunately does not exist, and that's why the word fictional. But we follow this girl that is babysitting the house, so house sitting in this historical building that has a reputation of weird things happening in the building. And scary things happen in the building, and it's amazing and it's mysterious, it's very gripping, it's a page turner. Read it if you haven't. I've never read anything else from Riley Sager, but you know, yes, worth it, read it. You can already tell that this video is gonna be basically a whole bunch of nothing. Let's move on. Next up we have The Chain by Adrian McKinty. Again, another book that I speak about all the time. In this one we follow this chain that, how do I say this? So there's a kid that is kidnapped and the parents of that kid receive a phone call saying if you want your kid back, you're gonna have to transfer some money to this account and also kidnap another kid, and then call their parents and tell them the same thing. So the parents go, kidnap another kid, call the parents, ask for the money and for them to kidnap another kid, and then they receive theirs back, and so on and so on and so on. And it's why The Chain. It's so intriguing and fast-paced again. Like the first chapter has you completely hooked. It's amazing. The ending was a bit disappointing, but it's one of those that I want to reread. Maybe I was just being picky about the ending, who knows. But the whole book had me at the edge of my seat. It's amazing. It's not a thriller in the way, it's not scary. It's just very, very mysterious, and it just leaves you very curious to know what's happening. So here's a good recommendation for you. Next up we have The Girl Before by J.P. Delaney. This is set in a smart house, and that's why it made it to my list, because you know I love technology, I love smart houses, I love gadgets, and I hate when gadgets go wrong, and that's what happens here. So it's this lady that she moves into this house. No, it's a couple. Present timeline is a couple that bought a house, and we are also following another timeline where there is a lady living alone in that house years before. I think that's that. So you're following the two timelines and basically how their lives work inside that house and what the house does, and the house is amazing. We love smart houses. Bring them on. Next up we have Lies by T.M. Logan, and this is another book that I need another copy because this one, Puppy Suki completely destroyed it. I mean, it's ripped here. as you can see, and there's no back cover. Yes, get a dog, they say. It will be fun, they say. Regardless, this is also one of my favorite thrillers, and this is one that I mention every time someone asks me for a good plot twist. I don't want to spoil it, letting you know that there's a huge plot twist at the end, but there is a huge plot twist at the end. Unfortunately, I haven't seen many people read this, but please do, trust me. This is about, what is this about? I read this more than a year ago. This is about a guy and a son that find the son's mom, so the wife, in a hotel, and they follow her to the hotel. And then there's an argument, and the dad kills this other guy. No, the guy is dead. No, he goes missing, and then the police declares him dead. And then the father becomes the main suspect of the crime. However, the father keeps receiving communications from the guy, so he knows he's not dead. He receives text messages and calls and whatever. He speaks about Facebook, social networks. My memory sucks. Basically, the guy's being accused of a crime that he knows it didn't happen because he knows the guy's alive. Very gripping. It's not as fast-paced as, let's say, The Chain or Lock Every Door. Those are really very, very fast-paced. This is a bit more on the slow side. It's also bigger. It's 498 pages, and I can see that clearly because I don't have a back cover. And I do like when stories are told from the POV of a man, because I feel like, at least in the majority of the books that I read, and thrillers especially, we always follow the POV of a woman, so it's nice and refreshing to, for a change, follow a man's one. But yes, huge plot twist, and please read this. More people need to read this so we can all talk about it and how important and amazing that plot twist was at the end. Next up, The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. I absolutely remembered nothing about this book. I gave it 5 stars, and this was like the second or third book that I've read in my life. Not book, thriller. Can you imagine this is like the second book you read in your life? This is about a man and a woman who meet at Boston airport, and I think it's the man tells her that he wants to kill his wife or something, or the other way around. No, I think it's the man. And then the woman says, yeah, sure, I'll help you. They decide they need to stay as strangers, so they don't even know each other's names or anything. They don't swap phone numbers. I don't know. They just stay as strangers, as weird as that sounds, and then they go and commit a murder together. And I think there's like multiple POVs as well, like each chapter changes characters. I don't remember if there's multiple timelines or not. It's full of plot twists, or at least back then when I was a very inexperienced thriller reader, I did think it had lots of plot twists. Again, I don't remember much, but yes. Our Kind of Cruelty by Araminta Hall. This is about a stalker, and the amazing thing about this book is not that scary, it's not that fast-paced, it's not that mysterious, but the interesting thing about this book is that you are following the point of view of the stalker. So at some point you start questioning yourself, is he actually a stalker? I mean, you think it is, but then you are reading from his mind. So then you start thinking, maybe everyone else is just exaggerating and is not actually a stalker. Maybe they are in love after all. Who knows? And I think that's the interesting part. Also, the story of this, I haven't mentioned. I really forgot how to do YouTube. I'm sorry. I am truly sorry. The story of this is a couple that broke up, but when they were together, they used to have this game, the attraction game or something. What was it called? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. They had this game. They used to go to a bar together, and then the lady used to pretend she was alone and wait for a guy to come and start flirting with her. And when he did that, the boyfriend would intervene and be like, that's my girlfriend, and then they would go home and have hot steamy sex. That's the premises. But then they broke up, and the book starts when the lady tells him, the ex, that she's getting married. But in his head, in his crazy stalker head, he thinks she's still playing the game, and that this is like the last level, level 99. This is the ultimate game where she's not actually getting married. She wants him to go after her and break up the engagement. And it's fascinating following a stalker from the point of view of a stalker. Yes. Is it excellent? No. I didn't give it 5 stars. I believe this was a 4-star for me. I'm not sure. But it's so interesting to follow a stalker's point of view. Now, for everyone who likes kidnapped children in a basement, The Cellar by Natasha Preston. This is about kidnapped children that are kept in the craziest person's basement, and that is it. There's 3 of them, I think. The kidnapper changes their names to be flower names, and we're just following their day-to-day in the basement and how they are trying to come up with a plan for escaping. Very fast-paced, very intriguing, light read. It's not gonna give you nightmares, it's not gonna keep you awake at night. Next up, this is getting good. The pilot's getting good. Verity by Colleen Hoover. Colleen Hoover, everyone has heard of her. She usually writes romances, but this is a thriller. This has nothing to do with a romance. So even if you don't like her romance books and you like thrillers, give this one a try, because it has honestly nothing to do with anything else she has ever written. Oh! I'm destroying my setup. My legs are getting numb from being sitting on the floor. I clearly don't know how to YouTube anymore. Like, not even my legs want to cooperate. Come on, I don't wanna... Alright, let's power through. No, this is too long. So, Verity is about this writer called Verity that has had an accident. She can no longer finish, I think it was a series she was writing, she can no longer finish it. So the husband contracts this other writer to go finish the series or the book or whatever she's finishing. And in order to do that, she has to go live in their house for a couple of weeks so she can read the drafts and the previous books of Verity and just get up to date with the story so that she can obviously do a good job in continuing it. And then shit goes down inside the house. My legs are so numb, like, oh my god. I'm in pain, I'm suffering. I had to go get a chair and sit down because my legs are so incredibly numb that it's painful. Why are they so numb? Because it's been too long since I recorded. Clearly, this video is ruined. The footage is gonna be like half an hour long and I'm gonna have to edit it. And I'm getting chills just thinking of it. You wanted scary things? This video. So the writer goes live in their house and then shit goes down and it's very creepy. It's so creepy. It has a lot of sex content as well, like hot, steamy, aggressive sex. If you are into those kind of things, you're gonna love it. If you are not in those kind of things, just power through that and read the book anyway, because it's excellent. It's one of my favorite books of all time. It's definitely one of my favorite thrillers. It's so fast-paced. This is so good. This is so good. That's all I have to say. Next up, another baby. You know, I cannot do a thriller recommendation or a book recommendation or a recommendation anything without mentioning this book. You know, this is my one true love. If I had to keep only one book in my shelves, it would probably be this one. Even though, Verity, I love you, but like, I would marry this book if I could. I'm getting palpitations just thinking about this. You've heard me talk so much about this book, and this is like my one success on YouTube, is the amount of people that have read this book because of my recommendation. And you guys read it and you tag me on Instagram saying how you love it and thank you for the recommendation. And this is like my one career at influencer, is recommending this book. This is about a a smart house, of course, but in good. So we are following this babysitter that goes to this smart house to look after 3 kids, 4 kids, 3 kids, a baby, 2 other, I think it was 3, and then there was a 4th one that was at university, or was it 2? No, 3 in the house. X amount of kids, and the house is like welcome to the future. It's like having Google Home, but better and more creepy. How did I speak about this book? I've spoke about this so much and now I cannot speak about it. Yes, this book is written through letters. So the babysitter is currently in jail because she's being accused of murdering one of the kids. Yes, Manganet, that's the premises of the book. How could I forget to mention that? Through letters that she's writing to this very famous lawyer. She's asking him to defend her and her case. So she's writing these very, very long letters. Like, can you imagine if you receive those letters in the mail? Like, this is the letters. Literally, the whole book is letters, so you would literally receive this in the mail. I mean, I would be grateful because this is great. Like, I would love to receive this. Through those letters, too much excitement. Through those letters, she's telling the story of what happened in the house all the way since her first day, how she got the job, why is she there, what was happening in the house, the creepy, weird things that the house was doing and the technology, and how the parents are weird. There's no sound or reason. Okay, so my alarm just went on. I have to go to work. Let me quickly finish about this book, and then I have 4 more to speak about that we're going to talk about tomorrow, later on today, who knows. This book, so she's telling the story of what happened in the house, how the parents are weird, what weird things the house is doing. It's so scary. Like, don't read this at night without the lights on, because the audiobook is amazing. It has sound effects of like the wooden floor squeaking while people walk around in the house at night, but there was no one walking around the house at night, so you see what kind of vibe I'm going with. The whole book, I was not sure if it was gonna be something supernatural or if the babysitter was going crazy or if I was going crazy. There's also always that possibility that I'm going crazy. But yes, seriously, you need to read this. You need to read this. I've told you, this is my one success on YouTube, is recommending this book, and everyone loves it because I'm that amazing. And Ruth Ware. Okay, I don't have words to speak about this book. This book, you need to read it. You need to read it. Verity, you need to read it. All these books, they're all amazing thrillers. Anyway, I have to go to work and make some pizzas for the nation, and I have 4 more books to talk about it, and so wait for me. I shall be back because I do want to finish this video. And yes, I really want to return off the key again. What is happening? What is happening? Okay, I'm gonna go. Bye. Hello, it's the next day. Welcome back to the continuation of this very, very messy video. Also, I started editing this last night and it is messy. It is very messy. My camera is again all over the place. What is happening? You know, you wanted thriller recommendations, here you have them, just not in a conventional way. But let's move on because I only have another 20 minutes to record and then I need to go to work. So let's see if I can finish finally this video in the next 20 minutes. I believe the last book that I spoke about yesterday was The Turn of the Key, and I don't remember exactly if I finished talking about it, but basically there's not much to say except you need to read it if you haven't already, because that book is everything you need in your life when it comes to thriller, and perhaps even more, even things that are not thrillers, that is still everything you need in your life. So go and read it. Next up, let's talk about The Whisper Man by Alex North. Now, this is thriller slash horror. Actually, I don't know how Goodreads rates this, if it's thriller or horror. I think there is somehow in between. It's a little bit more scary than your average thriller, but it's not that scary that it probably doesn't really count as a full horror novel. However, I'm not a specialist when it comes to horror, so I might be wrong, but I still don't think it's that scary. But it does have some scenes that, holy moly, they are scary. So as well is another book that you should not read alone in the dark, unless if you are a very brave self. What is this about? This is about a guy and his son. Oh, another thriller following a POV of a man. Love it. The mom died maybe like a year ago or something. She had some disease. I don't remember exactly. She died. And now the guy and the son are moving to a new town. Like he bought a new house and they are moving. And I think it was his childhood town. I'm not sure. But then something starts happening. Oh, me and the synopsis. If you leave a door half open, soon you'll hear the whisper spoken. Oh yes, I think the children in that neighborhood hear some whispers at night and then they tell their parents and their parents think they're just being kids. But then they start disappearing, like the children that hear the whispers start disappearing. And one day these kids, like the main character kids, also starts hearing the whisper. And the dad already knows about the story of the kids disappearing and he gets a bit worried. We also follow a little bit a POV of a detective, which I'm not a big fan of, but this one is not following exclusively that POV, so it's okay. But be aware that it does have some chapters, I believe, or maybe a whole section, I'm not entirely sure, following the detective's POV. But yeah, so some scary things, a little bit more on the scary side for thrillers. If you like thrillers with kids, this one is for you. Now we have a big boy to talk about, and that is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. This is, you know, a weapon. What is this about? Again, I think it's about 2 sisters. 20 years ago, Claire Scott's eldest sister, Julia, went missing. No one knew where she went, no note, no body. It was a mystery that was never solved, and it tore her family apart. Now another girl has disappeared, with chilling echoes of the past, and it seems that she might not be the only one. Claire is convinced Julia's disappearance is linked, but when she begins to learn the truth about her sister, she's confronted with a shocking discovery and nothing will ever be the same. So I don't remember anything about this thriller. I believe I gave it 5 stars, so it must be good. But honestly, I don't remember. Even by reading the synopsis, nothing comes to my mind. I do believe that this was following 2 timelines. I'm not even sure. Like 2 different stories, and while you are reading, you're not sure if they are in the same timeline or different timelines. You're not sure how they correlate or if they correlate at all. But basically, you have 2 different types of chapters. You have these ones with, what is it called? Roman numbers? And then you have just 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So you do have these 2 dimensions, and while you are reading, it's not explicit what is happening exactly. And then I think that at some point they correlate, and it must be mind-blowing, because otherwise why would I have given it 5 stars? But I don't remember anything. But there you go, Karen Slaughter. She writes really dark thrillers. Like usually there's lots of violence and gruesome scenes, lots of blood and attacks, violent things, very heavy descriptions on those sections of the book. So if you get easily impressed by those kind of things, this might not be the author for you. But if you are someone who thrives through those things, then pick up a Karen Slaughter book if you haven't already. And from the ones that I read from her, I believe I read 3 or 4 from her, this was the highest rating on my shelf, even though I don't remember anything. The Wife Between Us by the duo Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. Praises for this book. It's marked down as a thriller, but again, it's because it's very mysterious. It's not scary, and you are following the story of 2 ladies, I think, like separate stories, each one has their own, of a woman that got divorced from a man. Yeah, you're following the story of a woman who was once married to this guy and they got divorced. And on the other timeline, you are following the story of a lady that is gonna marry that same guy now, like in current day, they are engaged, they're gonna marry. So in the past, you were following the beginning of the other relationship and what happened to them and why they broke up, what happened to their relationship. And then in the present timeline, you are following the development of this relationship and how some things link to each other. And it was just brilliantly written. I don't know how can someone write such beautifully well-connected stories, even more given that it's written by 2 authors. How the hell does 2 people manage to link their thoughts and don't forget any details? Because at the end everything ties up in a beautiful bow and is excellent. You should read this even if it's only for the experience of just enjoying and appreciating the writing of this book. It's beautiful, like the artwork of this book, the way the story is narrated. I don't have words, like words fail me as always to describe this book. It's not scary, it's more, I would even say as like a contemporary story, because it's just a regular story, but it's full of mystery and suspense, and you just want to know what's gonna happen. How are the 2 timelines gonna correlate, or are they not, or, you know, very good, very good. This was the first book, I believe, by this author. I've read the other ones that they published, and for me, this one is still the best one. And lastly, but definitely not the least, another 5-star book for me, that is the one by John Mars. This was probably the most recent one that I've read from this stack. I should be able to do a proper good description of this book. In this one, you are following 5 couples who live in this future reality where you can do a DNA test and your information goes into the system, like this worldwide system. When someone else does their DNA test and their information goes in the system, you might be matched, like your DNAs might say that you are the one for each other. And it's 1 person only for each person. So we are following 5 couples that got matched through this website, and each chapter it alternates between the stories, and it's so fast-paced, such a page turner as well. Every time a couple's story is getting interesting, it just changes to the next couple, and you get like, no, I really want to know what's happening, but then you get hooked to that one couple's stories, and then again it changes to another one, and yes, it's still following the same 5, like in a loop over and over again. So you are following all the stories, but it keeps cutting in the most interesting parts. The chapters are also really small, 2-3 pages long, so that's something you can take into consideration if that's something you enjoy in books. Short chapters, page turner, plot twists all over, not like huge plot twists, but those moments where you are reading and you just think, I didn't see this coming. At least I didn't see half of the things, probably even more coming. It just kept surprising me, even when I thought, okay, everything has happened, everyone has found their match, probably from now on we're just gonna follow the story as how they meet and how they decide to deal with that. But no, it just keeps taking turns and turns, and top notch, 5 stars for me. I loved it. And there you go, guys. These were my 13 thriller book recommendations. I hope you liked it. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these or if you got curious to read any of these. Thank you very much for hanging out with me and sticking through my messiness of book recommendations. I hope that at least you got not only good recommendations but also a good laugh from how confusing my brain works. And also let me know in the comments if you're gonna read any of these or if you've read any other books that you think that I'm gonna like based on the things that I clearly like in books. I don't know, you know what I mean? Basically, if you have any recommendations for me, I would also like to know them. So yes, thanks for hanging out with me and I'll see you very soon on the channel with another video. Bye!